The Madlanga Commission resumes its public hearings today, with controversial businessman Suliman Carrim expected to return to the witness stand. Also scheduled to testify are police officers Witness P and IDAC State Advocate Drushantha Ramsamy. Yesterday, the Commission heard testimony from Bevan Loftus, father of Gregory, who rejected claims that his son was involved in drug-related criminality. A police captain also gave evidence about the 2023 Durban shooting that claimed the lives of Loftus and 4 others. Carrim's appearance comes after several postponements linked to his reported ill health, with the Commission previously ordering him to undergo an independent medical assessment. For the very latest on the day's proceedings, we cross live to SABC News anchor Ayanda Nyathi alongside senior reporter Canny Maphanga, both at the Bridgette Mabandla Justice College. A very good morning to you, Ayanda. So today has been set aside for the appearance of businessman Suliman Carrim. Now, there's great uncertainty around whether he'll actually testify, given the many challenges they've brought before the Commission to postpone his testimony, as we've stated, due to ill health. So at the very least now, not to preempt what would possibly happen, but at the very least, can you just confirm if you've caught sight of the man?
Not yet, Mfundo, and perhaps that is an indication in and of itself of what we're likely to hear. As you've mentioned, it's been quite a long way in the making. I mean, as far back as the 20th of June, there was a back and forth about whether or not it is fitting for this commission to appoint their own medical assessor, or to at least facilitate the process of getting an independent medical personnel assessing Carrim. His lawyers believe that there are less intrusive ways of ascertaining whether there's any legitimacy in his medical health status. But as you mentioned, there's quite a lot on the menu today, and let's unpack all of it with our senior reporter, Canny Maphanga, who's been with us here at the Bridgette Mabandla Justice College. It is a hive of activity, to use a cliche, Canny, and no surprises, because there are so many different streams, quite frankly, that are meant to, in some ways, be reflected upon today.
Absolutely. We see Suliman Carrim's lawyers have just arrived, so we're going to get an update in that regard. Remember, there was deadlines he had to meet in terms of the order that was issued by retired Justice Madlanga with respect to whether or not he'll be appearing today or will he be excused. And that was all contingent on whether he would voluntarily subject himself to an independent medical examination. The report was due to be submitted 2 days ago. So we'll get an understanding whether or not it was submitted and whether or not the Commission accepts this particular report and he's subsequently excused, or is he not excused, and are there going to be consequences that follow from that particular development, if that is indeed the case. The second issue would be the continuation of Drushantha Ramsamy's evidence, that is the IDAC State Advocate. Despite all that we've heard about IDAC, it seems she still has more that she's set to ventilate about the crime intelligence matters, which we now know did not have any Section 27 referrals, were engulfed with alleged unlawful conduct, and were certainly matters that didn't meet IDAC's mandate. And then we also have Witness P, who is an in-camera witness that were asked to do their testimony in camera because they're going to deal with issues relating to gangs and intelligence information about conversations that they intercepted, things of that nature that could give credible information to the Madlanga Commission. I suspect it could line up with what we've heard so far about the Bevan Loftus case and the kind of alleged toe-tracking gangs you could have had in Durban, or the city of Durban, or some of those townships in Durban, where there seem to be a number of gangs operating that seemingly run the risk of infiltrating the SABC task teams, because that is what is being alleged about the murder of Bevan Loftus. But I don't think that's going to be continued today. The focus is mainly on what the developments are surrounding Suliman Carrim, and if it's going to be postponed, what is the date of the postponement, keeping in mind that the final evidence day is the 2nd of October, so we're drawing closer and closer to that deadline, and it's not looking promising in terms of whether or not Suliman Carrim will actually make it before this probe, before the final report. Then it's Drushantha Ramsamy, and then of course the Witness P evidence.
What I do remember was also a point of contention surrounding Suliman Carrim was the disclosure of financial records for his company. I mean, the inquiry has also made the point that even if he is not able to be here in person, surely somebody in his team can facilitate that process.
Yes, and we'll also get details as to whether or not that information has been forthcoming or not from Suliman Carrim, or at least one of the alleged associates, if I could put it that way, in terms of the information that is sought. It seems that the transactions of his own businesses is something that the Commission now has interest in terms of what those transactions tell them and the kind of movements of money from different businesses that the Commission has taken interest in, because we've gone far beyond the transactions emanating from the SABC contract that alleged cartel member Vusimuzi Cat Matlala was awarded, because it seems the first payment went to Suliman Carrim, and Carrim then sent another payment to Morgan Malmela. It seems now the Commission has an interest in its own alleged business dealings and what those transactions tell them in the greater light of the probe into these cartels, and how seemingly, as explained in the phase 1 of the evidence, is that it's not only about alleged unlawful conduct. You can actually see some form of these alleged businesses doubling up with legitimate networks, and then of course the alleged criminal elements and the alleged money laundering and so on and so forth. So these business dealings are set to delve into that particular subject and what the Commission must make of that, if they indeed got the information. So we'll get the updates on that. But in the main, what is being discussed here is whether or not the health challenges persist to the extent that he can't appear, and if there's any proof of such in terms of an independent medical examination. Did he voluntarily subject himself to that?
It'd be remiss with the time we have left, Canny, not to speak about what came out of yesterday's testimony, even though we're moving away slightly from that stream. That's the alleged police hit squads operating in KZN. And perhaps to just jog our memories, let me take you back to the testimony of Gregory Loftus, that is the father of Bevan Loftus, who is counted among the alleged victims of these rogue officers who are apparently carrying out hits at the behest of criminal rivals. Take a listen.
A friend of Bevan and his wife were shot in Tiflin Road in Wentworth while he was taking his wife to work. His wife was injured and he was hospitalized for a few months due to the severity of the injuries. He is now in rehabilitation to assist him to walk again. This shooting incident is also registered at the Wentworth police station. In another incident, one of Bevan's ex-drivers, Denzel De Silva, was shot while awaiting his food order in Wentworth. He survived the shooting incident. A colored male by the name of Deon Ismail Wood was arrested for the shooting and is currently in Westville Prison. A police docket that refers to this case is a Wentworth case. I now turn to the events leading to the murder of Bevan and his friends. The allegations against Bevan. There are allegations that Bevan was involved in drugs or killing people. I deny that. As far as I know, he lived from income received from his towing and taxi business. He did not live a flamboyant life and lived modestly. I have been in the service. I would have had some idea if Bevan was involved in drugs or in the killing of people. I vehemently dispute those allegations. The narrative that Bevan and his friends were involved in drugs were a cover-up by the police to justify hunting him and ultimately killing him.
And as mentioned, we're moving slightly away from that stream now, but we are anticipating that this particular evidence today is about to begin.